Aiden McConnell, you got injured last week. You got a knee bruise. Why don't you sit this one out? Take care of yourself. Get yourself good for the next game. Let your homeboy Desmond Ridder start this game at quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons will be more than happy if you could oblige.
I'm Debo. Who? Debo.
You got my 40, homie. Why you tripping, Debo?
Come on, Debo. Stall him out.
Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, pimps and players, everybody between, it's your boy, the one and only Debo Vibes right here. Thank you so much for coming by another episode of the Debo Vibe Sports Dive. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Y'all, we keep losing. The Atlanta Falcons keep losing. We keep finding ways to lose games. Raheem Morris and company had a goal to outrun the South. However, because of this 4-game losing streak, we're now on the outside looking in as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now are outrunning the South. So what can we do? We can start off with a win on Monday Night Football. We're facing the Las Vegas Raiders out in Sin City for Monday Night Football. The Raiders themselves, mind you, are in a 9-game losing streak themselves. Let's go ahead and break down the potential of us facing Desmond Ridder and the Las Vegas Raiders on Monday Night Football. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Let's go! Okay, y'all, here's the situation. Aiden O'Connell, he's a starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. He got injured last week down in Tampa Bay with a nasty knee bruise. They had his leg in the air cast and everything. Everybody thought it was a wrap. Well, come to find out, it's just a knee bruise. It's very possible this man can start. So the first case scenario is, what if Aiden O'Connell starts? Aiden O'Connell's not a bad quarterback. He's a marginal quarterback, but not a bad quarterback. A couple weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs, he threw for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game that could have very easily won had not been for a penalty and subsequent turnover. Now, one thing I will say about Aiden O'Connell is that he has the ability to get outside the pocket, but he's not a very mobile quarterback. And during his progressions, he does make a lot of ill-advised passes. Let's get to it, y'all. He's questionable. Coach Antonio Pierce says it's very possible he could play, but we are talking about a knee bruise on a quarterback. So it's very possible we could see Desmond Ridder. Now, the scenario is this. Desmond Ridder, the former Atlanta Falcon quarterback who threw for 2,800 yards and just 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions during his tenure here. He was signed with the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. They cut him. The Las Vegas Raiders picked him up, and now he's with the Raiders. Now, last week's performance, he did serviceable last week. He went 12 for 18 last week. However, Desmond Ridder did Desmond Ridder things. He threw into quadruple coverage, and ultimately it was intercepted by Isaiah McCollum, but it was reversed because they said the ball hit the ground. With all that said, y'all, the Desmond Ridder y'all saw last year when he was with us is the same Desmond Ridder that we're going to see on Monday night, trying to do too much at an ill-advised time. If Desmond Ridder does play, look for him to look for Brock Bowers a lot, more him in second. However, in last week's games, almost all of his passes were intermediate, particularly crossers to the tight end. As we know, over the past 2 games, our defense had collected 9 sacks. Coming into Sunday's game against the Buccaneers, the Raiders' offensive line have only been together a total of 5 games. With that said, our newfound pass rush should be able to pressure Ridder to allow him to make an inaccurate decision as he's prone to do. And our hot hand, aka AK, Mr. Arnold Ebiketie, should continue his hot streak for another sack.
Debo.
Now, the entire year, the Raiders' rushing game has been horrible. Alexander Madison, he's been injured. Demir Wright, who was touted to be their leading running back this year, is on injured reserve. However, someone has to run the rock, right? Well, the Raiders have found a practice squad player who over the past couple of weeks has been outstanding. That individual is Sincere McCormick. His name is Sincere McCormick. He wears number 28, and he is an extremely violent runner who's getting the job done. He's a UDFA out of University of Texas, San Antonio, a college where he had back-to-back 1,400 yards rushing, so the man knows how to run a rock. Against the Chiefs, he had 12 carries for 64 yards. Last week against the Buccaneers, he had 15 carries for 78 yards and a 5.2 average. Now, this man, no one knows about him, but he's a very, very tough runner from what I saw in my studies, who gets from point A to point B very quickly. If I had a player comp for him, it'd probably be Isaiah Pacheco, a poor man's version of Isaiah Pacheco. A very aggressive runner, doesn't have that much speed. If he runs laterally, hopefully likes of Caden Ellis or Troy Anderson can prevent the long runs that this young phenom has shown the league over the past couple of weeks.
Debo.
As far as the Raiders' receiving game is concerned, it's led by stud rookie tight end, straight out of University of Georgia, Brock Bowers. Now, Brock Bowers right now has a little over 900 yards receiving, on pace for 1,000 yards receiving. As a matter of fact, 30% of the targets have been to him. Up to last week, he's strung together multiple productive games, including 10 catch 104-yard performance against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. As far as the receivers are concerned, our secondary will have to keep a close eye on Jacoby Myers as well as Trey Tucker. Jacoby Myers, for me, reminds me a lot of Josh Palmer, the LA Chargers wide receiver we saw a couple weeks ago. Very comparable to that right there. Now, they also have a deep threat named Trey Tucker. A lot of people don't know about him, but Trey Tucker is a deep threat. He's a vertical threat. Just as Kansas City Chiefs a couple weeks ago, he caught a 58-yarder for a touchdown against them. Now, Brock Bowers is that dude. He's like the straw that stirs a drink. He's a tight end, but he runs like a receiver. Reverses all that. So with that being said, we definitely got to make sure the communication is good, particularly with our secondary. We don't need no more lapses in the secondary, particularly what happened last week against the Minnesota Vikings. Y'all, I got to say it. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison did things to our defense I thought could never be done. They made him look foolish, particularly that D. Offord flop. I chimed in on Out Your Falcon Mind with John and Mike, and I went ahead and said it. That D. Offord play where he gave up that touchdown and the D. Offord flop, so to speak, I thought one or two things happened. I thought either someone in the stand shot him or he was having some kind of crazy medical emergency. One or two. I've never seen cornerback play like that. That cannot happen again, particularly with a marginal offense as the Raiders. So we can tighten up that communication with our secondary, including Clark Phillips. He's another one last week who was all over the damn place. If Coach Hood can tighten that up, along with Jimmy Lake, you incorporate that with a great pass rush, then it should bode for a long night for AOC or Desmond RIDDER.
Debo.
Guys, this right here is a Raiders offense that's only scored more than 20 points 4 times this year. And the last 4 games, they haven't scored more than 19 points. About a month ago, they fired the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. They brought in Scott Turner, North Turner's son, to take over the reins. They've looked better, but the production has not been there score-wise. Their scoring offense ranks 25th in the league. All that said, once again, it's not certain which quarterback we're going to face, Aiden O'Connell or Desmond RIDDER. Whichever one we're going to face, we have to make sure our pass rush continues to do what they've been doing over the past 2 weeks. 9 sacks in 2 games. If we can get to the quarterback and close it out, whether it be Caden Ellis, Arnold Ebiketie, even Judon with his little touch sacks he be having. If all that happens, it'll be a formula for the defense to do their part. Let's go! Now let's dive into our offense, or a lack thereof. As we know, over this 4-game losing streak, Kirk Cousins has 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's leading the league right now in turnovers. So how can we turn that around? Well, for one, we can turn that around by playing the 30th ranked scoring defense in the league, which is the Las Vegas Raiders. Not only that, the Las Vegas Raiders defense came into last week's game, which is 5 turnovers, which was the least in the NFL. With that in mind, they did force 3 turnovers on the Tampa Bay offense. They also sacked Baker Mayfield 4 times. Now, when you talk about sacks, how can you not think about Max Crosby? Slow down, though. In the past 4 games, Max Crosby has 1 sack. That's it. So that's your boat. Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is this. This is a perfect recipe. The perfect recipe for Kirk Cousins to get back on top. You're playing a defense that's ranked 30th in the NFL. You're playing a defense that has one of the worst ranked turnover margins in the league. And you're playing a defense where the stud edge rusher is not having his best year. Max Crosby right now has 7.5 sacks. Nothing to sneeze at. However, it's not the 11, 12 sacks that we're accustomed to at this time of year for Max. Several individuals I want to touch on for this Vegas defense that we had to keep an eye on. One of them is defensive lineman K'Le'Veon Chason. Now, last week against the Buccaneers, he had one of the most athletic interceptions that you ever see from a defensive end. It was a one-hander against Baker Mayfield. In reference to the run, we did get a balance of Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson last week. In my opinion, Zach Robinson has to continue that, particularly where Kirk Cousins struggles. The main running forces that we got to look out for the Raiders is defensive lineman Max Crosby, who ranks 9th in the league in run stop win rate, and also inside linebacker Robert Spillane, who's currently leading the Raiders with 118 tackles. Kurt had to go through his progressions with a little more sense of urgency, considering the Las Vegas Raiders ranked 6th in the entire NFL in pass rush win rate. The reason I bring that up is that in the category of pass block win rate, there's only one Atlanta Falcon that does not rank in bottom third of how effective he can pass block. It's not Jake Matthews, it's not Caleb McGarry, it's not Chris Lindstrom. Believe it or not, it's Senator Ryan Newsel, who ranks 15th in the NFL in pass block win rate. Now, with that being said, over the past 2 games, the offensive line has done a great job. Last week, they only allowed 1 sack. Against the LA Chargers, they only allowed 1 sack. That's a great job right there. So they're doing their part. It's not their fault Kirk Cousins is sitting there staring down a hook curl zone, throwing it to a wide open linebacker. Not their fault.
Debo.
Las Vegas Raiders did a decent job last week defending the pass, particularly against Mike Evans. They allowed only one chunk play to Mike Evans, which was a 32-yarder. That was it. Now Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, and Kyle Pitts. Well, no, scratch Kyle Pitts, never mind. They have to be on the lookout for extremely physical free safety Trayvon Morin. Number 7, extremely physical, rangy free safety. He registered 5 tackles and a half sack last week against the Buccaneers. They also have a serviceable press man defensive back by the name of Jack Jones. But again, with all that being said, they are last in the league at turnovers. Kirk Cousins leads the league in turnovers. This right here is the best recipe for Kirk Cousins to get back where he needs to be, because if he cannot throw a touchdown against this defense right here, there's something to be said, not only his inability to play, but also the inability of Raheem Morris to make good coaching decisions. Let's go!
We have a return. He kicked it 100 miles. Long spiral to the 21-yard line to Dion to the 30. Dion out to the 35. Dancing 40, 45, 50, 45, 40, 35. Dion 20, 15, 10, 5. Dion Sanders.
Falcons at the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada, for Monday Night Football. Now, the main individual in this game I think is going to be on pins and needles is not Kirk Cousins. It's not Zach Robinson. It's not Raheem Morris. The main individual I believe is going to be on pins and needles this game is going to be Terry Fontenot. The reason I say that is this. Terry Fontenot has officially screwed over Mr. Arthur Blank's money by signing this quarterback, Kirk Cousins, to a guaranteed contract, and then you turn around and draft a quarterback right now who is not playing. Now, it has to be one of two things. Either Raheem Morris is a total idiot by leaving Kirk Cousins in there this whole time, and his inability to coach and to lead a team is showing right now that he could be the biggest idiot in the world, or the fact that Michael Penix Jr. sucks right now. Has to be one or two. And I'm listening to very credible sources that are in Flowery Branch watching practice saying that Michael Penix right now is doing his thing in practice. Why in the world can we not play him this week against, hear me out, this week against the worst ranked defense in the league who has the fewest turnovers in the league? This would be a perfect opportunity to put Michael Penix in. I can understand last week because you don't want to put him in there against Brian Flores' defense. You can put him in there this upcoming week against one of the worst defenses in the league that cannot get turnovers and is susceptible to a big play. Why would you not put Michael Penix in a game like this? Someone explain that to me. Perfect scenario. Raheem Morris' loyalty is to a fault. I think for some reason he's calling the hell out of Kirk Cousins, because I'm pretty sure if AJ Terrell got burnt for a touchdown 4 straight games, he wouldn't be starting. I'm pretty sure if Bijan Robinson fumbled the ball 4 straight games, there'd be upper eyebrow putting Tyler Algier in there. But for some reason, Kirk Cousins, who's leading the league in turnovers, can get a total pass from the head coach. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I'm a Falcons fan. You're a Falcons fan. I've been a Falcons fan since 1991. I've even been a Falcons fan since 1999 when Jamal Anderson tore his ACL on Monday Night Football, and the rest of the year, our running backs were Keith Oxendine and Byron Hanspard. Ew! Yeah, that part. We want to see the best for our team. We don't want to see our team go through this right here. But starting out 6-3 and getting to this point right here, and basically the whole coaching staff, in my opinion, the whole staff right now, particularly Raheem Morris, they can't be trusted. Anything that comes out of Raheem Morris' mouth right now, I consider a fucking lie. It is what it is. So, with that being said, we have a few more games to turn this thing around. I want to ask you a question. From what we're seeing right now from his offense and from his team, but especially the defense last week, from what we're seeing, even if we do make the playoffs, do you feel comfortable with a team that's putting his body work out there going to the playoffs? I'm not. They got to turn around, show a good performance on the Monday night stage against the Las Vegas Raiders. Can they do it? We'll see what happens. I know one thing, though. I know one man does not ruin a team, but for the past 4 weeks, I think we can all agree that there's a better option at quarterback other than Kirk Cousins. However, we're fanatics, so it is what it is. With that being said, y'all, we will vibe out soon. All right? All right. Hey, guess what, y'all? I see greatness in you like you see greatness in me. Man, I love y'all, man, from the top of my head, soles of my feet. It's your boy, One on Debo Vibes right here. And as always, y'all, respect, love, and peace. Deuces, rise up.
Debo.
Who else wants some of Debo?